Welcome back, subscribers, to this video where we're going to be talking about Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, cloud gaming, how not to launch a game, and why looking at menu screens for 5 hours whilst a game loads but doesn't actually load is really not acceptable for a video game in 2024. So, as I'm sure many of you are aware, Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 launched last night and we spent 5 hours looking at a load screen. I will admit, the jump from 3% to 7% was probably one of the most thrilling load bar experiences of my life, and then the accelerated jump from 10% to 97% was actually one of the most joyous occasions I've ever experienced whilst loading a game. So, well done Microsoft for producing the most tense and exciting load bar experiences anyone could have playing a video game. However, despite that load bar excitement, we didn't actually get into the game. I've been to sleep and we've woken up again, and hopefully it will work today. But the point is really that this is yet another cloud game or online game where there's obviously been more demand than they initially anticipated. I mean, who would anticipate that the sequel to one of the most popular flight sims that's ever been made, that's probably had millions of dollars of advertising put behind it, and is then released on a subscription service, console and PC at the same time, would have a large demand? Very difficult to predict. I'd imagine that Microsoft as well, probably a company that doesn't have access to any data, who could imagine that it would be really popular? Anyway, the point is, it didn't work, and really, what I think this is a real failure in core design. So, look, I'm an idiot. I probably can't do better than anyone at Asobo. I've met the guys there. They're more intelligent than me, I can tell you that. And I'm sure there's lots of very intelligent people at Microsoft. However, it seems like we're in this weird sort of design mindset that goes on with games where they can't decide if they're... Well, first of all, they can't decide if they're a console game or a PC game. That's one thing. But then, in terms of the cloud gaming, they can't decide if they're actually a fully online game or a somewhat online and somewhat offline. And the result of this is a complete mess in how these titles are actually delivered. So, basically, the way that I would do things, and I think would be the solution to this type of issue, would be that if you're doing a completely fully online game, and that's what you've decided, it is totally online, well, you better have a launcher or a launch system that very clearly says server's not working, server's out of order, don't load the game, you can't get into the game, or it doesn't even let you get into the game until things actually work, and doesn't require you to load something up that's chooching away at a graphics card. It just says, you load the game, you'd initially load it, and you'd have something that goes, server's unavailable, server's saturated, server's on fire. Great. You're not going to be able to access it, but at least you're not going to be in this sort of ambiguous state of loading despair, and at least you're also going to know, oh, it's an online game, it's a completely online thing. It's not even, you wouldn't even market it as single player at all. You just say it's online, and you'd be like, okay, fine, it doesn't work, but I know what's going on as a consumer. I paid for something, I can't access it, but at least I know what's going on. I think if you're doing an online game, like how you do an MMORPG, like going back to like 2006 or something, 2004, God knows, when World of Warcraft didn't work, it would just say the servers are down. You could complain about that, you could be upset, but at least you'd know what's going on. So I think that's one way of doing things if you decide you're doing an online game. Or you're doing an offline game, and you buy the game, you put your disc in, you put your cartridge in, you download it, and then you can play it offline. It's an offline game, so that's fine. But if you're going to do what Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 is, where it's technically a sort of online game, but it's also a single-player offline game with you downloading a lot of content, it seems really weird to me that they don't do it in such a way where you preload at least enough so that you can get into the game menus, adjust settings, and maybe access some kind of basic part of single player. Maybe not even the career mode, or maybe not things that need to check things online. Maybe just like a basic flight mode, maybe like an aircraft test mode or something. So you have fundamentally, and this is what would make the most sense for something like Flight Sim 2024 to me, you have like an offline version of the game that is the base thing that people load into. Once they get into that, if the servers are up, then it checks everything, then it synchronizes everything, and what's going on there. For whatever reason, probably a decision that was made many, many years ago, as I say, Microsoft Flight Sim seems to be in this weird state of not knowing if it's an online game or an offline game, and where or not the downloading starts and ends. Also, I think what's happened with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 is a complete communication breakdown in terms of what the players took issue with Flight Sim 2020. And I see this online in a lot of the forums, is that people are like, oh, the reason that they've changed the downloader is because people were so annoyed with downloading so many files in Flight Sim 2020. And it's like, no, okay, some people will have been, but the vast majority of people weren't annoyed with having to download a lot of files in Flight Sim 2020. They were annoyed with having to get Windows Store, update Windows Store version of the game, launch the game, have the game do an initial download in the bizarre loading menu, then have to restart the game, then launch the game again, then have to download some packages in the game's stupid download package thing, then install those packages, then reload the game again probably, and then double check that everything was working, at which point, oh no, there's been another update, so you now have to download another thing and go through it again and again, all through the in-game stupid interface, which has really bad loading and package stuff and takes up your computer's resources and your full screen and is playing annoying music. The problem wasn't the file sizes for most people. The problem is the user interface and the way the download process worked. If Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 worked like Sims from 20 years ago, where you have a Windows application and it would be like, oh, there's the files to download, there's been an update, oh, it's downloading those files, it's a lot of files to download, but I can do other stuff on my computer whilst those download, and oh, there you go, it's done it, now I launch the game, oh great, I can launch the game and change settings and restart the game quickly. People would be happy with that. In fact, I would go to say that flight simmers would even see a large file download as some kind of like prideful thing. They'll be like, oh my god, look how big this download is, I'm getting so much value for money, oh this is awesome, look how much detail's in there, I've downloaded all these files. They would be happy with that. It's not necessarily the amount of downloading, it's the user interface and the way that stuff's downloaded. That's the problem. Simmers love bloody load bars, simmers love fiddling with stuff. What they don't like is stupid full screen user interfaces with looping music and completely convoluted ways of getting files. They don't like that. They like nice regimented logical processes. That's why they do flight simming. So it seems like with Flight Sim 2024, it's doing the same as Flight Sim 2020, but they have seemingly compounded it into the initial loading screen, but that's worse in some ways because you don't even know what's loading and what's actually downloading. You've just got this load bar. It's absolutely insane. And I think in many ways, it's the same kind of thinking that you get with Windows 11 or even like the Windows Phone going back, and that sort of Microsoft thinking of where they try to like appeal to, they try to do everything in one thing rather than actually designing things appropriately for different platforms or different use cases. And with Microsoft Flight Sim, I think what's happened is it's been really affected by trying to design for an Xbox console type user as well as a PC user, and not really designing for any one type of user. And as a result, you just have this wish-wash mess of user experience. But yeah, I think really the thing that really worries me is that it's 2024. It shouldn't be physically possible that you can spend 5 hours looking at a load screen. In fairness, Microsoft, after about 4 or 5 hours, did do some community posts. They have done a quick video with the developers explaining things, going, oh, this is why it can't connect. There's some cache on a server, that's the communication issues. That's fine. That's the technical reason. Obviously, the developers were working as hard as possible. Again, they're way more intelligent than me. They work way harder than I do. I'm just an idiot that makes stupid videos on the internet. But it's just so depressing, the state of video games in 2024, and that you can have a 5-hour loading screen and be sat there with nothing really working. And then finally, the worst part of all this, I would say, it isn't even Microsoft or asobo, it's those bloody apologists, apologist gamers that have been negged so hard that they're posting on Reddit and forums and Twitter and things. They're going, oh guys, game launches are always terrible. What did you expect? I mean, what do you expect? Well, I expect that if someone pays between £60 and £200 for a product, you expect it to work, don't they? That's not unreasonable. Using that as a line of defence is absolutely mental. Imagine going to a cinema, sitting down at the seat, and then the screen saying loading for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours before the film starts. You'd be like, what is this? Or if you couldn't open the door to the cinema because someone had forgot to unlock it, you'd be like, well, hang on, I think the door should be unlocked here, guys. And then someone stood at the door going, well, you know, staff prices have gone up, and, well, keys these days, guys, are very complicated to make. So, well, you just have to wait in the rain for a bit. That's just how it is. It's just, how do you defend it? And then you have the Game Pass defenders, and with people saying, oh, well, you know, you can get it for free with your monthly subscription on Game Pass. And it's like, well, no, guys, that's not free. That is a monthly subscription service. People still had to pay for that. And a lot of people pay for it and forget. So developers actually make a lot of money due to the monthly roll-on monthly fees that people are paying. And then they forget to cancel, so they're not even using the service. So that's a large part of why monthly fee subscription services make so much money, or encouraged over an upfront payment for a game. Also, there's a lot of people that will pay for a monthly subscription service and have it on for a year or 2 years, and that's going to be way more than what they would have bought in video games otherwise. So it's not free, and it doesn't excuse a developer or publisher from completely messing up the launch. I just don't get why there seems to be more, and as this has gone on, as I say, because people have been negged for so long, there's more and more people that seem to be just accepting of how bad this is. The whole point of video games is that they're entertainment. Forget the detail of the flight sim, how realistic the flying is, the clouds, the content, the music, all the other stuff. Forget all that. At the end of the day, it's an entertainment product. It needs to launch well, and it needs to fundamentally work. It needs to be thought of a bit like a roller coaster, in that the roller coaster needs to not kill the riders. It needs to be running. You need to be able to get on it, and it needs to work. It needs to just work. That's a basic thing for a video game. It needs to just work. Technically, it needs to work. The quality of the game comes after technically it just working. So, yeah, I mean, it's only going to get worse, isn't it? At the end of the day, business is business. Companies are making money. I'm still going to play Microsoft Flight Sim. I do still think, at the end of the day, they probably will dial things in. They probably will start to fix stuff, and the servers will calm down. I do think that even if you spend £200, if you spend many hundreds of hours playing it, it's still going to be good value for money software. Obviously the developers will keep working on things. I think asobo are pretty good at working on stuff, though they're actually a bit oddly selective with missing out stuff in Flight Sim 2020, like some of the control animations and some of the features bizarrely never seem to get addressed. Some do, some don't. Obviously it's going to depend on what you care about as to which features you notice getting fixed or not. But I do think, generally speaking, asobo are one of those developers that do keep working on things. So it's not a drop and forget type game, so that's good. But where have the days gone, guys, where you could just blow on a cartridge? It's not working. Blow on the cartridge, stick it in a console, and you play your bloody game. Games are more complicated now. It's harder, they're online, but it's like, why can't we just have a simple offline version of the game that you can load into? Why can't we just have Windows? Why can't Microsoft use Windows for a nice launcher and keep things nice and compact? Where's the joy in the tightness of things just working? And things have just gone backwards, guys. This is my get off the lawn moment. Anyway, without this video going on too long, that is mostly my rant. I really hope that we have a good stream today. And I will say, I did enjoy the live stream yesterday. The load bar action was some of the best load bar action I've ever had. So at least there's that. And at the end of the day, you do have to be positive, don't you? World War III might be starting soon. We might have some of the biggest idiots in the world in positions of power. And there's a lot of terrible stuff happening. So you still got to be positive and drink lots of tea. That's the takeaway of life, because the alternative is too depressing to to engage with mentally. There you go. That's the video. Thanks for watching this. Have a good day. I'll see you in the live stream. Take care and goodbye, guys.